Good morning, Neshoba. How are you this morning? All right. You know, when I was 15 years old, my first job was parking cars here at the Neshoba County Fair. And since then, God has been good to bless me to graduate from Jackson State University, where I started my first job working for the Mississippi Secretary of State's office. In that particular role, I trained election commissioners and circuit clerks how to run elections all over the state of Mississippi. I worked under Dr. Clark, a Democrat, and I worked under, who is now Lieutenant Governor, Delbert Holzman, as a Republican. This year in this election, we have an opportunity to do something that has never been done in Mississippi. We have an opportunity to lead our state in a way where we can expand jobs, expand Medicaid, and protect our voting rights. One of the things I'm so excited about this year is that we get an opportunity to tell you our story. I'm a fifth-generation Mississippian. I was born, raised, and educated in this state. I have served in the United States Armed Forces. Fort Benning, that's where I went. And I have worked at some of the finest institutions in this country, both at the state executive level and the federal level. I have protected this country from terrorism and Homeland Security. And I have been honored to work with Republicans and Democrats throughout my entire career. I'm running for Secretary of State because I want to see our election system change in our state. I want to see it change for seniors. I want to see it changed for people who want early voting in our state, folks who want online voter registration in our state, a campaign finance system, an election system that we can depend on. Because one of the things that you don't know, I'm sure, is that right now, every candidate on this stage that has spoken at the Neshoba County Fair, and candidates all over the state who are not at the Neshoba County Fair, they can't even file their electronic campaign finance reports at the Secretary of State's office right now. They're having to submit them via email because a system failed at the height of our election system. I'm a firm believer in not waiting till catastrophe happens before we do something about problems that we already know are outdated. I want to modernize our election system. Again, I want to bring mail-in ballots and early voting and online registration to our election system. That's the voting side, but the Secretary of State office does quite a bit more than that. I want to make sure that we are bringing big business to our state, and I want to make sure that we are making the proper type of negotiations to support our small businesses. Because a lot of folks in my party may not tell you this, because it's known as a conservative value. Small businesses are the backbone of communities. Small businesses are who bring jobs to our communities. And without their support, our communities shudder. So I want to make very clear, those big businesses that come to our state, I want to make sure that they receive the tax breaks that they need in order to be enticed to do so. I want to make sure those same businesses are investing back in our high schools and our colleges to make sure that we're creating a high-paying pathway for our kids' future. I want to invest in our community colleges. I want to make sure that at the end of the day, people know that not only is Mississippi open for business, but it's time for us to expand business. That's how we actually move our state forward. I want to make sure at the end of the day that bipartisanship is the new word in Mississippi. Because contrary to popular belief, it doesn't matter if every Democrat wins in the Senate or in the House. Republicans will still have a supermajority in our state. And we have to be able to work with them, no matter who the lieutenant governor is. That's what you get with me. I'm going to work across the aisle because I don't believe that every Democrat has the best ideas. And I don't believe that every Republican has the best ideas. Our state works better when we have a strong two-party system. But right now, because our politics is so divided, so far left and so far right, we can't meet in the middle to get things done. And the main purpose of anyone running for office, whether it's your sheriff or your supervisor or your next Secretary of State, their job is to bring results to you. And we can't do that if we're not working together. This year in this election, it's probably going to get a little talkative. We've already seen that happen on yesterday. But one thing that I can promise you is that we're going to continue with a positive message about what we're going to actually do for you, with a clear socio-economic policy that you can find at shuwaskiyoung.com. The third thing I want to make sure that you understand is that we are going to fight back against the Secretary of State's office not being the most user-friendly office in government. You should be able to get the information that you need by simply going to the website. Contrary to popular belief, they'll tell you that you can. But if you're trying to start a small business, if you're trying to register to vote, you can't do it. This is the essence of what my candidacy is about. I want to make sure that we are expanding voting rights. I want to make sure that we are fighting back against corruption. I want to make sure the Secretary of State's office is the #1 place of open source business in our state. And I want to make sure that we're working with Republicans across the state to bring results to you. That's the deal. More than anything, I want to thank you all for showing up this morning, because it's our duty to be involved in the political process, and that's not something that we're seeing a lot of these days. When I was on Super Talk Mississippi a little while ago talking with Paul Gallo, we talked about this very thing. I want to see civics returned in our classrooms. And yes, I want to make sure our voter rolls are clean. And I want to make sure that people understand that there is no valid excuse for not bringing an ID to the polls. That's my spiel. God bless you, everybody. Thank you so very much, and have a wonderful, wonderful Neshoba County Fair.